trapped by fear. I'm in a box. I've got no place to go. If I follow my mind, I know I'll slaughter my own. Help me, I'm the prisoner. Won't you hear my plea? I need somebody, yeah, to listen to me. I beg you, brothers and sisters, I'm counting on you, yeah. Black babies in the womb, shackled and bound. Peace and love. Welcome again to the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition podcast. I'm Brother Frank, and you usually see me with the brother Abdul Haq Islam, former political prisoner. Unfortunately, he had some things that he had to take care of, but he remains with me in spirit. For those who are first viewing this for the first time, please subscribe to our podcast at NEPPC. It's on YouTube, and stay in touch with us, stay informed. We dedicate this episode to hip hop. Hip hop will become 50 years old this year, and it's we got to claim it and we got to celebrate what we made in terms of our contribution to humanity. So I got my sister boy, and she's with me now. Peace and love, sister. Welcome to the NEPPC podcast. How you doing, sister?
Peace, everyone. I'm good. How are you? Yeah. Can you hear me?
Everything is good. Can't complain. Yes, loud and clear. You hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yes, we talking about hip hop turned 50 years old this year, and we want to really recognize what hip hop means to us and what it means to just the next generation coming up. And I think we need to remind ourselves historically what hip hop has done. It's been social commentary. It's let us know what's going on and what we need to do. From when Melly Mel talked about a child is born with no state of mind, to Kendrick Lamar talking about we gonna be all right, and that was an anthem against police brutality. And I think that we have to remind ourselves the power that hip hop has. So, sister, explain your relationship to hip hop. Explain how that relates to our struggle to free our political prisoners.
Peace, everyone. I'm Natasha. I'm also a member of the Northeast Political Prisoners Coalition, doing this work alongside Frank and Brother Haq. For me, I think what hip hop, because you said what hip hop means to me, right?
Yes, what it means to you, and then what it means to people like you who are struggling to free our political prisoners and raise the consciousness of people.
I love hip hop, definitely, and we know that there are different types of hip hop, I guess, or different styles in which people take on. And I think particularly speaking about conscious hip hop, that's the type of hip hop that really speaks to me in terms of really putting the message out there, making you think, and is also something that really vibes with us as a people, I feel. And I think for people who are like me doing the work to free political prisoners or, any work toward Black liberation, it means a lot to us because we know that music is the soundtrack to the revolution, that it doesn't just teach us something, but that it also sometimes speaks for us and it gets out our messages. And so even like you were mentioning a couple of different hip hop artists and their lyrics or their songs, I also thought about Nas, If I Rule the World, where he said he would free all political prisoners. You know,
Yes.
just people saying things like that in their songs, or making political statements to help educate those who are out there and help us spread the word. Because I feel like that's the biggest challenge we have, is getting other people to know what is going on and other people to understand what is going on and to get involved. And so I think it means a lot to us when we have hip hop artists and when we have hip hop songs that are putting the word out there, educating people about what's going on with us, and educating people about what needs to be done.
Yes, yes, that's very important and powerful that you say that, because I think some people forget the origins of hip hop. You know, you have people who are in this to just get money and try to find an alternative hustle. But when we look at what hip hop really means, it's a way to talk about what's happening, and beyond talking about it, to actually take some action. And I think that was what we seen when we seen the uprising with George Floyd. You have a number of artists taking a position on that particular situation, because they like us are frustrated, and some of us have children, and they know that our children will have to deal with this crisis if we don't eliminate it. And I think that when we look at hip hop will, if you're on the East Coast and you're talking about what's going on the East Coast, and you listen to it on the West Coast, then you understand that, oh, those brothers are going through the same thing. And I think that that's the power of hip hop. And when I was doing in research, as I do in preparation for a podcast episode, I was thinking about KRS-One. He had a song called Free Mumia. I was thinking about Public Enemy song Fight the Power. I was thinking about Nas. He had this song called Testify. He mentioned George Jackson, Jonathan Jackson, and just so many artists understand what's happening. Dead Prez, Dead Prez has always took a position politically, and that first album, let's what it was, I think Let's Get Free, and it just blew my mind when I heard it from the beginning to the end. And I think that when we look at that and we realize the power that we have is very important.
Yeah, I think it's
Hold on,
also too important.
Yes, our brother. Oh, what you were saying, sister?
No, I was gonna just say, I think it's also too important to think about those people in our community who do hip hop music that are not so widely known, like you were mentioning, in terms of like Dead Prez, that speaks to our political situation and just our situation as a people, or United Front, who does rap music as well and is in the same vein, or Sa Rock, the MC. So thinking about all these
Yes.
other artists who are out there, who are us, and making this music that helps to educate us, that we don't usually see in the mainstream.
Yes, we can't forget about Immortal Technique. Immortal Technique is always he's out. We've been out in demonstrations for Mumia Abu Jamal. At this time, we like to welcome our other guests, or my brother and Asmat. Asmat, peace, my brother.
Peace, peace,
Peace,
And
Asmat.
what?
peace, Natasha. How you been?
I'm good. How are you been?
Yes,
Right.
yes. So
What's
we was
going
talking
on?
about conscious hip hop. What's your fondest memory of a conscious hip hop artist, a conscious hip hop song that allowed you to reflect stronger on issues that was going on socially, in particular political prisoners?
Uh, One of my favorite conscious hip hop songs was by a particular group called Brand Nubian, and the song was called "Wake Up." Uh, and my fondest memory of it is it started out. It, the video started out with a sunshine in the back, a sun ray rising in the dawn, and And then you would hear Grand Poobah come in and he would say, "Peace to the gods." So that's one of my fondest memories.
Yes, I remember that album. That album, I think I was in high school, and it let me. It made me be proud of being African, and it made me had a sense uh, of of obligation towards being African. You can't just say that you're something and not act on it. And I think that that's what we need to look at when we talk about hip hop. Hip hop is supposed to drive us to take some action. We taking pride in ourselves and our culture, and that's why when we talk about the struggle to free our political prisoners, and we look at what's being said on a number of conscious artists, we're struggling for the same thing, right? Our political prisoners are struggling to change the social conditions of our people, and the hip hop artist is conducting social commentary, so they one and the same. And I think that it's very important that we continue to let people know that there's some albums that you need to check out, like Dead Prez, like Immortal Technique, like Chaos One, and Public Enemy. I think that Public Enemy was at the forefront of what was happening. In fact, Chuck D actually had something to say in the beginning of Russell Maroon's book, and he has said something positive and strong about him. So, how does hip hop make you stronger? Any one of you?
How does hip hop
The
make?
conscious hip hop.
Well, yeah,
Yes.
I mean, I think, as you were saying before, when you heard that album, that the Brand Nubian album that Brother Asmat talked about, it made you be proud to be African, right? It made you want to do something. And so we know that there's strength in self-esteem, but we also know that, like, once you have self-esteem and when you really believe in who you are, you operate with a certain strength and you do things from a certain place of strength that you're unable to do when you don't have that type of self-esteem, when you don't have people telling you that you are great. So, like, we know that the strength that hip-hop provides, as consciousness hip-hop, is it allows us, it builds us up. It allows us to really feel great about who we are, and not just taking the negative ideas and images that are being presented within this society about Black people and about our legacy as African people.
Yes, that's a very important statement, because you're right. It's not just one area, because when these corporations come and they package hip hop and they sell it, they're trying to sell you one thing that they think that is supposed to be the dominant aspect of hip hop. But we know that it's a lot more to that, and that's why we got to expose other people to various artists that are involved in hip hop, like Killer Mike. Killer Mike, who's always took a position when it came to what was going on in our community, and Styles P had that song "I'm Black," right, and that was getting into the whole history of Black people dealing with oppression in the United States. And I think out of that, it's the same ideas that our political prisoners are struggling for. It's self-determination, and that's exactly what hip hop represents, right? Self-determination. Now you have to think about what area of life or what avenue that you're trying to go down when you talk about self-determination, because you have to be for the advancement of your people. And that's when we have to start to sort out which artist is for us and which artist is for themselves. And I think that allows us to preserve hip hop. Like, we got this hip hop museum that's supposed to be going on in the Bronx. And I think at that museum, they need to definitely give conscious hip hop the correct representation that is needed, because once we're reminded of the power that we possess in our music, then people are going to understand how they need to appropriately use it. So, Brother Asmat,
Yes, sir.
you still with me? What
Yes,
was your
sir.
feeling when you first heard Public Enemy, Fight the Power?
Yeah. Well, I can remember feeling definitely, very empowered when I first heard that. Public Enemy's always been, like you said, at the forefront, and their style was particular because every time you would hear their music, besides the consciousness of the lyrics, they always had, a powerful accompanying beat. And that's what always, resonated with me was the lyrics. And the lyrics complemented the beat, the instrumental, and vice versa. And I think they were very, that was something that they honed in on, because every time you would hear something by Public Enemy, besides, like I said, the lyrics, they always complemented with great music with it, great instrumental, like Black Steel, Black Hour and the Chaos of Steel. Was talking about
the video was incredible.
Yeah, it was. And that was dealing with the prison system. And they highlighted it by walking through a prison system, and it had a phenomenal beat. And I think that's the key thing. That's what always catches you. That beat is something that always catches you, but it serves people much better when you have a great beat and the lyrics complement it as well, But another one of my favorite political hip hop artists who never really gets any light shined on him. I don't even know if he's still recording. It's Paris, and he's from the West Coast.
I wanted to mention him, but thanks for beating me to the punch. Yes.
Yeah, Brother Paris is a heavy, heavy, heavy brother. It was so, his stuff was so profound, a lot of time, most of the time what he had to do, he had to stay what they would call underground. And that's where a lot of his stuff, would surface underground. But one of his favorite albums that I like is Sonic Jihad. And it had a song on there called Evil. I don't know if you guys ever heard that, but if you have not, you need to do your due diligence and go to YouTube and put in Paris and type in Evil and listen to the lyrics of that particular song. It is truly phenomenal. And this is the kind of hip hop that they never ever wanted publicized. They never wanted any of that to ever go mainstream or anything like that, because these kinds of individuals are truly dangerous, because their whole thing is about enlightenment and waking up Black people. You know what I'm saying? So, as I said, the wake up song from Brand Nubian was like that. And they had two videos. They had one video that came out originally, and Brand Nubian had to change the video because it raised issues of what they call, I guess, racism, because the demagogue or the Antichrist or the evil person that they presented wasn't to the industry's liking, and they wouldn't put the video out until they changed the video. But that caused that video to be delayed because of what they were saying and what was being said in the video. So that caused the video to be delayed. But again, just when we talk about conscious hip hop, it is, I don't want to call it a phase of hip hop, because there's still artists out here that are conscious, as you guys are mentioning. Dead Prez is one of the groups that are in the forefront. And there's still groups out there that are still present and putting heavy stuff out. But the unfortunate part is that the industry doesn't want that, and they're not allowing that. And these guys have to go underground and put their stuff out otherwise. And then what happens is a lot of time it just don't get that airplay, because the industry not only controls the record industry, they control media. So they won't allow a lot of the conscious lyrics or the conscious songs or the conscious groups to come out. And then if artists are seeing that and they're seeing that that's not happening, I'm not saying that they don't want to get paid or it's not about getting paid, but people need to maintain a certain standard of living, food, clothing, and shelter. And if you're not going to get the money to to put these songs out or these albums out, what a lot of times, you have a choice of making, well, what kind of song can I put out? Am I going to make any money behind it? Because I done put much money into it. Am I going to get any money back? So it's a thing where, we live in a capitalist society, and we, unfortunately, sometimes we do need money. So a lot of time the artists won't put that stuff out simply because they know of the backlash that they're going to get,
Yes, that's an excellent point. You really broke down, some people are going to be express integrity with their creation, and some people are going to compromise for food, clothing, and shelter. And I think that's why we have to look at what hip hop is or where is it at, where it came from, and make a decision about how we preserve it. How do we make sure that there's a certain element of it that reflects what's going on, that's addressing political prisoners? Because whether you're talking about 1973 or you're talking about now, you're still talking about the struggle for self-determination, the struggle to make sure that we are fighting for what's right. I know, sister, you had to go. You still have a few minutes, or you got to check out right now.
I'll say my last words, and then I'll say my last words, and then I have to leave out. But I completely agree with, everything that Brother Azmat said. He brought up a lot of great points. And I think that when you were mentioning before about what was the Public Enemy and the song Fight the Power, and how it made you feel, and how Brother Azmat was talking about how it made him feel, and the beat and everything that goes along with it, it made me think about how when you hear a really great hip hop song with a great beat and everything, how you could literally feel it in your body. And so when you think about the way that people will, when we think about the type of hip hop music that can be used when, people are riding out to go do a drive-by or to kill another Black person, it gives them a certain type of feeling. That's why they're listening to it. And so in the same way that it can give you a feeling to do something negative against your brother or your sister, it can give you that same feeling to do something positive for your brother or your sister.
Yeah, absolutely. That's right.
Like when Bobby E. Wright talks about in Psychopathic Personality, I think that's the name of the book. I can't remember. I might not be saying the title correctly, but he talks about how like Black people kill other Black people because that's who they've been taught to kill. And so when we think about hip hop and the music and what's allowed and what's not allowed, all of the songs that Brother Azmat are bringing up, those were songs that are teaching you to do something positive toward your brother and your sister. Those are the songs that are gonna, invoke within you a feeling of wanting to go out there and, think critically, to push back against white supremacy and oppression, and to really galvanize with other Black people around these issues to like fight for your liberation, like to fight the power, as opposed to the music that they want these artists to put out that are telling them to like, okay, yeah, go ahead and, let's condone and let's do things that go against your brothers and your sisters in terms of that. And so I think though that really is important to think about, like you were saying. And the last thing I will say is that those brothers and sisters who do make the types of music that we want them to make when it comes to hip hop. We have to make sure that we're supporting them, to
Yeah,
show
absolutely.
on it that, you know, if
Absolutely.
you do this kind of music, you will be supported. You know, we will look for you. We will go to your concerts. We will, you know, buy your albums and you know, stream and show it where it's supposed to be shown, and spread the word. So I definitely think that's key to the things, because we know that the system's going to continue to work against us,
Yes.
and move and adjust in the ways that it wants itself to continue and be perpetuated. So we have to do what we know we need to do in order for us to be able to move forward in ways that will allow us as a people to be liberated and perpetuate our own culture and survival in society.
Yeah, absolutely. 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 You know,
Yes,
Thank you.
sister.
even
Appreciate you. Thanks for your time
yeah,
and your contribution.
yes, sis,
Peace.
peace.
Please.
There is even
Yes, brother.
brother Fred Hampton Jr. He put out a hip hop album. I don't know if you're aware of that,
Oh,
but he put out a
right. Oh, okay.
yes, sir. Yes, he did. He put out a very nice piece too. Nice, nice piece. Now, need I mention? You know, he is the son of Fred Hampton Jr., who was assassinated by
Yes.
the pigs, the police officers, supposedly that law enforcement officers, but they assassinated Fred Hampton, and the spirit of Fred Hampton was just passed on to his son, because actually his son was there when he was assassinated, you know, in that same apartment. But he put out a phenomenal album, a phenomenal hip hop album, which he is on it, but he also has different artists on it. But a very nice CD, very nice album. You know,
And I think
you
that's
had
important that you identify those positive hip hop artists.
yes, yes, absolutely. He put out a heavy piece, and I don't know if he followed up and put out a next album, but I do have the first one that came out, and it's a very nice album. But
And one thing about
uh-huh.
no, I'm saying one thing about this time that we living in now, that you have access to so much music, right? Because they have those algorithms. So once you start putting the conscious hip hop, a number of songs are gonna come up. And I think that that's what we have to do. Continue to follow up on these artists. As we said earlier, support them, share, post, and play them in your car, and let other people hear that, because sometimes we complain about what's out, but then we don't provide an alternative. And I think that when we provide that alternative, we need to ask people what they think about this particular song. And then we start to go deeper into people who make sacrifices. Then you start going deeper, because you're going to start talking about martyrs, and then you're going to talk about our political prisoners, Ronja Bowers, Mumia Abu Jamal, and so many others, Joy Powell. Right, we have to let people know that there's still people who are behind bars because of their position, and let's not forget them. Because when we look at Shaka Khan, she participated with the Black Panther Party. You look at Chuck D, Chuck to eat those free breakfasts, so they benefited off of the work of the Black Panther Party, and also they understand the sacrifices of others, so they benefited to be in a position to make music and allow their platform to speak to a number of people.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did.
So that's why I
Um,
always say, it's a good, brother.
yeah. No, I was just listening to you. But anyway, again, besides the ones that we do know, there are those that, we just haven't heard a lot of their stuff. And as I mentioned, you know, uh, Brother Fred Hampton Jr., he put out a very nice CD. You have Brother Paris, who was consistent in putting out a lot of CDs. And he was
Yes, and and
very,
and and the
Go ahead.
The artwork on
And
his
the
stuff
who?
too was the
Yes,
artwork on his stuff
definitely.
was always
Yeah,
reflective of the
yeah,
pandemics. Like,
his stuff was solely politically conscious, and the political organization that he was representing was the Black Panther Party, because that was what he would use on his albums. He would use the
yes,
Black Panther. I'm looking at one of his
yes.
CDs right now, and it has a panther on the front of it, under with his name. You
Yeah,
know,
he didn't shy away from that at all, and I respect that
no, he did
tremendously.
not. He did not. No, he did not. He did not shy away from it, and he never
So,
really got recognized or anything for,
nah.
his contributions.
Well, we recognizing him now, brother. About to shut it down. You got any closing remarks, man, before I let Killer Mike end the show?
No, brother. Basically, um, I appreciate you trying to bring this to the forefront as far as attention wise, because, you know, really where hip hop is going in terms of it being directed by the industry is going someplace where it is definitely becoming very popular and stuff like that. But anytime there's what you want to call if you want to call it controversial, to us it's not controversial because it's speaking to our issues, but to others it is controversial. And anytime it goes in that direction of controversial, they do the best they can to shut the artist down. You know, if you ever watch the show Wildin' Out with Nick Cannon tried to do little things like that, little snippets of consciousness and stuff like that. But you see the backlash that he caught when he said certain things on his podcast about a
Yes,
certain group of people.
yes,
And that's what they do. They
absolutely.
always threaten you and to threaten your livelihood, your money, and everything else like that. And that's how they shut you down, bro. That's how they shut you down, just like all of the other black political organizations. That's how they shut you down. They they threaten you, you threaten your livelihood and everything else like that. But anyway, brother,
Well said.
I appreciate you having me on the show.
And I appreciate you committing to doing what you said you was going to do. That means much to me, brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Killer.
You have a next guest coming on, right?
I'm just gonna close it out. I forgot. I don't have access to that piece. Nah, man. We just usually have Killer Mike have some words about why we need to support our freedom fighters. But anyway, man, peace and love. And what's the call? Free 'em all. What's the free 'em all?